Hey friend. Okay. So every day in my DMs, I get messages from people who say things like, gosh, I wish that I could be an entrepreneur. I don't know what I would even do a business on, or I'm not sure what my talents are, or I think I'm kind of talented in this, but I don't know if I could actually like make any money off of it. Like, could this be an actual thing? And if that is you, we are doing something especially for you. We are doing something called our Dream Business Bootcamp. It's going to be like a 5-day boot camp where we help you figure out what talents do you have on this side of heaven that you could monetize. How could you actually do a business with that talent? What would you name the business? Could you get an audience for it? Will people actually pay for it? We're going to teach you how to like research your idea to see if this is actually a viable plan and tell you which platform that we think you should be actually trying to build an audience on, and to go from just a dream of perhaps having a business to actually walking away after this week with an actual plan and something legitimately like put into place so that you can fulfill your dream of being an entrepreneur. I am so excited about this, something we've never done before. I want you to go to jenniferallwood.com/dream. And if you're like, girl, I already have my dream business, cool. Who can you send this to? What friend or sister-in-law or neighbor or, girl that you met on a bus one time could you send this to so that she can go also to jenniferallwood.com/dream? Listen, there's no better time to start a business than right now in the year 2021, while everybody's still at home, while they're still on their phones, and anything is possible. So I will see you there. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. This is Monday Fire, episode number 84. So I'm going to be talking today about the cost of inaction, of like not taking action. Listen, inaction, it costs you something. It costs you something, it costs your family something, it costs the world something. We're going to talk about that today. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I know that there are so many people who have like a dream in their heart, but maybe they can't actually like get it started. You have maybe fear and perfectionism that's holding you back. Maybe you're stuck, but there is a cost of inaction. And we're going to talk about that today. Okay, so I got to tell you this story because when we don't take action on something, it's one of those things that like when you see that somebody else actually took action on it, then you're like, oh man, I missed my opportunity. So a couple of years ago, the Lord gave me the idea for a planner, and there were some specifics about this planner that I thought were perhaps going to make it different than other planners on the market. And in case you don't know, I love me a good day planner. I have used a day planner since I used a Franklin planner. From the time I was 19 to today at age 49, I have used a day planner every day of my life. Like part of me, when I think, which would I rather, lose my purse or my day planner? Ooh, don't ask me that question because that's how important my planner is to me. When you are really scattered, when you are visionary in Enneagram 3, like you have to keep your your thoughts and your notes of what to do and your stuff like tight, or you'll just be like all over the place. And so literally that's how important a day planner is to me. So a few years ago, I was like, I should just develop a day planner because I've tried many different ones and there's parts of them that I love. But on this one, I like this, and on this one, I don't like that. And I started feeling like, you know what? I'm going to make one, and it would contain this, and it would contain this, and it would contain that. And some of the girls on my team and we had conversations. I had conversations with a woman that was like selling her day planner, like the rights to it and the development to it and all of that. And guess what? I just didn't do anything about it. And a couple of years went by, and suddenly I saw another woman come out with a day planner that had similar aspects to the things that I was thinking was really needed in the industry. And you know what I thought? Oh my gosh, like I totally missed that opportunity. Like what on earth? And then I also thought, you know what? Good for her. I mean, it wasn't like coming from, there was a part of me at first that was like, I missed it. I missed it because I thought about it. I sat on it. I didn't take action on it. And then, on the other hand, I was like, I'm so glad that she did, because this was really needed in our world. And so that's what inaction does. It costs you. And, I even talk in my book, And Fear is Not the Boss of You, that sometimes I wonder if when God is wanting things accomplished on this side of heaven, because he does have a plan and a purpose and stuff to get accomplished. Right. And so I'm wondering if when he does that, the Bible says that, he scans the earth, he's looking to and fro. And I'm sometimes wondering if when he asks us to do something as believers and we don't take any action on it, if he's like, okay, well, I'll just go to the next girl. Hopefully she will. I'm going to hopscotch you and I'm going to go to one that I know will put it out. Like, I wonder if that happens. And that grieves my heart to think how many opportunities like I've missed that God gave me a thought or an idea, but I didn't take any action on it. And I think everybody can kind of look back on their life and maybe see where they wish that they had taken action on something. How many of you had a thought about investing in something and you didn't? And then you're like, oh, now that is stock is so high. Or you think about inventing something and you never do. And you see it invented years later. I remember one time I had this idea of a purse that when you opened it up, like a light would come on in the bottom. And then years later, I saw one on the market and I was like, I'm so glad somebody invented that, because that was a good thought. That was a good thought. But here's what, I want you to know about inaction. Inaction, it costs you. It costs you time, and it costs you money, and it costs you your peace. And it doesn't even have to be like God gave you an idea for something huge. It can just be that you're going about your business, but you're not taking action on some of the things that you need to do. Maybe you're needing to be hiring somebody and you're just putting it off and you're putting it off. Maybe you're supposed to be offering a new course, but you're putting it off and you're putting it off. And so what inaction does is it literally robs you of your time. It robs you of your peace. It robs you of financial things, I think, as well, when you've got ideas and you've got stuff that you're supposed to be doing and you literally just don't. And so I encourage you to not sit on some of the things that God's giving you to do this week. It also costs your family. Because the truth of the matter is, so often we get so self-centered that we just think that the things that we're doing in life, they only affect us. And the fact that I'm not hiring help, or the fact that I'm not launching the course, or the fact that I'm not writing the book, or the fact that I'm not starting the Clubhouse account, it's things that we feel like God's kind of elbowing us to do, but we're not doing it. And we're thinking, well, it's just, I'll pay the price for that, but nobody else does. That's actually not the case at all. Especially for your spouse. When you think about what the Bible says about marriage, and that when you get married, you become one. So what affects you affects him. What affects him affects her. It's just the way it works. It will affect your spouse if you're married. And then so if it affects you and your spouse both, then there's got to be runoff that affect the kids too, right? Are we almost robbing from them some generational blessings of an inheritance? The book of Proverbs talks about leaving an inheritance for your kids and your kids' kids. Are we robbing them of watching the process? Are we robbing them of, because that saying, like, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, I mean, to a certain degree, that's true, because the way that God wired us as women is to be the heart of the home. And when the heart of the home isn't operating the way the heart of the home needs to, she feels it in her gut, and she feels stressed out because she knows she's supposed to be doing things. And we were created and designed for action and doing, not as a way to prove our works and not as a way to get into heaven, not that. But, the Bible says that when we go to heaven someday, that we want God to say, well done, good and faithful servant. That doesn't, it doesn't say well intended, well thought about, well done, which infers that there's some doing that has to happen here on earth. If we're just going about our life thinking you're just going to manage on getting from day to day to day, glory to glory, and someday, you'll meet God at the pearly gates, like, that's lovely, but is it biblical? I mean, when you think about all of the scriptures that we can read about where it talks about like taking action, and the Bible talks about that as works, right? So like in the book of James, it says, what good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith, but he doesn't have works? It's one thing to say that you want to help the homeless. It's another thing to actually do something and feed them. It's another thing to actually do something and donate money that can help. You know what I'm saying? And so it does affect your entire family when mom is not taking action on the things that God's asking her to do. And it costs the world something too. It does. Because if you have something that the world needs and you're sitting on it, then you're robbing certain people of the gifts that God's given you. For instance, we have a woman who is in my new Next Level coaching program, and she is putting out into the world a course to help women who are married to alcoholics. Now, this is something that can help so many women who are in marriages that are just being destroyed through alcoholism. And when you think about her sitting on that for years and years and years, and she's not, she is going forth and putting that into the world. I'm so proud of her. But what if she decided to just sit on that for the next decade? What if she decided to sit on that for the next 10 months? Think of like the women that would be missing out on some breakthrough and some strategy and some help and some hope in the meantime. So I want to encourage you today, if you feel like God has given you something to do, He's given you a directive of some sort, He's given you something to do on this side of heaven, especially with your business, I want you to think, what is my inaction costing me? What is it costing my family? And what is it costing the world? Because it is costing you something. If it helps, write some things down on your calendar, hold yourself accountable. We actually added in my new next level program that's not open or anything like that. It's been closed for a month, but we added an accountability coach to help people stay accountable to the things that they need to do, because we found that like action begets action. Remember when your kids were little and you would think, if I keep them up till 10 o'clock, maybe they'll sleep till 8 in the morning. Nope, that doesn't work, does it? All of you mothers know exactly what I'm talking about. Nope. If you want them to sleep later, you put them to bed earlier. It's the weirdest thing. Okay. So, but it's like, because sleep begets sleep. That's what all the sleep books say. If you want your kiddo to sleep in and to sleep better, make them sleep more, right? So it's the same thing with action. Action begets action. And so when you start like actually doing some things, then it'll start like getting its old feet and it start gathering momentum. It's almost like a snowball. And so I encourage you today, if you don't have somebody that can hold you accountable for something, find somebody. Reach out to a friend. Hey, I need to have this done by the end of the week. Will you make me do it? Will you check back in? I mean, they can't make you. Will you check back in and make sure I did? It's important that if you can't hold your own feet to the fire, that you ask for some help for somebody that can, so that your inaction is not costing you. So it's not costing your family. So it's not costing the world. So I think this was probably for quite a few people who listened to my Monday Fires this morning. And I'd love to know if that's you. If you would like send me an Instagram DM, tag me on a screenshot of this podcast, something. Let me know that you listened and you heard something that's going to prompt you to take some action this week. I'm excited for you and I'm rooting for you. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.